from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, July 23rd. So today we do have the moon in Virgo, going void, of course, shortly after midnight, and we will be locking into the Libran energy, 1:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, the moon in Libra is going to give us every opportunity to try and balance our emotions, balance our thoughts, balance our inner realm. But unfortunately for us, we usually have to go about doing that by exploring the extremes. Of course, while the moon is in Libran energy for the next couple of days, we will kind of experience the highs, experience the lows, and by the end of it, we will find another cozy point in the middle ground. And we are definitely going to kind of try to stay more in the shallow end of our emotional experiences. We're very focused on relationships with the moon in Libra. We just want to kind of find peace, make harmony, make everything better, have a little bit of fun, and keep things as light and bubbly as possible. So there are 12 different aspects here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. And just keep in mind that this is the first full day of Leo season, the first full day of Venus being retrograde. So we do have to kind of expect a little bit of wonkiness there. And also keep in mind that Chiron, the wounded healer, is also going retrograde here today as well. We'll talk about that in just a second. So the moon, while still in Virgo energy, is going to make an aspect with the North Node, who is now in Aries energy. This is going to provide us a little bit of a standing point, a paralysis point, if you will, to kind of see different choices, different options, different paths, different directions available to us. Now, we might not know which one we're going to follow. We might not know which one is the best for our growth, for our improvement, for our healing, but we are really, because the moon in Virgo is looking to look at the smaller details of things, we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty on the variables, the pros and cons, if you will, on what each possibility would actually offer us. The moon, while still in this Virgo energy before going void, of course, is going to trine. Its last aspect is a trine with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who of course is retrograde in this Capricorn energy. And you know how much I love Virgo energy interacting with Pluto. Why is that? Well, because we do a deep dive in the psyche. We do a deep dive in our inner programming. We recognize where it is that we're feeling powerless, where we're feeling like we don't have control, like we're examining the darkness, the funk. And we're able to fix it. We're able to heal it. We're able to transform it. This is a trine. This is a beautiful energy. It means that there is an emotional shift taking place. There is a shift in our attitude, our mood, our mental plane. We are uncovering a new narrative, a new condition, a new programming for us to actually align with and support us in doing some of the tougher things that many of us have been trying to avoid. So it's at this time that the moon goes void, of course, and of course we're locking into that Libran energy at 1:56 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at 2:16, we have our very first aspect with the moon in Libra, which is going to sextile beautiful energy with the sun. In this Leo energy, we get some air and fire action. This is great for inspiration, for new thoughts, for new passion, for new excitement. Of course, the moon represents the past, the sun represents the future, and the overlap here is about trying to find balance between our heart and head, between our inner realm and our outer realm, and of course, reconcile any kind of situations and circumstances that have been a little bit bumpy as of late. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac, is going to make a positive interaction with Neptune, who is retrograde in his place of power in Pisces energy. What I love about this is that our intuition is strong. We're inspired. We're living in la la land. We're able to kind of move into imaginary land, conjure up a dream, conjure up a vision, conjure up a new goal, and actually bring it into that mental plane that Mercury rules over. Really kind of exaggerate, if you will, the possibilities of the future. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we need to be inspired. We need to be determined. We need to be motivated. We need to remind ourselves what it is that we're fighting for. And this particular energy energy is definitely going to get us heart aligned with some of the ideas, some of the visions, some of the dreams that are currently coming into our higher realm of self. The sun, now in this Leo energy, is going to make a positive interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. What I like about this is, of course, the sun now in Leo energy, we're bold, we're brave, we're courageous. We know what I shouldn't say we know what we want. We're going to learn that through this particular season. However, we are starting to form an opinion on what it is that we want. We're starting to lean into new excitement, new passion projects, new goals. And Saturn, the Lord of Karma, is here to remind us, because he's retrograde, of what it is that we have to kind of deconstruct, let go, release before we can go ahead and start building a brand new structure, system, and foundation in order to actually build the bridge to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. What I like about the Saturn energy is that it is going to bring us down a couple of pegs, and we're going to need a couple of reality checks over the course of Leo season, because we do have a tendency to kind of bite off more than we can chew. So this is going to be a good starting point, if you will, to kind of conjure up, move into that heart space, figure out where it is that we want to move away from, what it is that we want to move closer to. And of course, a lot of that comes down to our belief systems that Saturn is currently trying to rewrite in order for us to feel supported and encouraged to build something brand new in the place of the things that we're currently letting go of and watching collapse. 7:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when Chiron, the wounded healer, is going retrograde. Now, I didn't do a separate astro forecast for this event because there's not a whole lot to say about it. Chiron is an asteroid. So yeah, it is important. Yeah, it does have a factor in the collective's healing and in our own personal charts, but it's not as influential as the planets are. And so when Chiron goes retrograde, which happens every year for approximately 4 to 5 months. This is actually going to take us into December, in case you were wondering. But when Chiron goes retrograde, we move inward just like a retrograde would do anyways. And we really take a good look inside of us. We're starting to address some of our concerns, whether it be our emotional concerns, mental concerns, physical health, whatever. We're taking a good look at what is broken, what needs some help, what needs to be strengthened, what needs to be fixed, healed, repaired. And because we're more apt to kind of boss up and take control in order to address these problems, there's a lot that gets healed and resolved while Chiron is retrograde. And just considering all the other planets that are retrograde right now, we're definitely doing some very important work to kind of heal, repair, grow through some of the past issues, especially where our ego identity is concerned. And because we're going through this identity crisis or rebranding, that kind of sounds a little bit better, we are definitely going to be addressing some of the internal issues that maybe just don't align with this next chapter, with where it is that we want to go, what it is that we need to grow through, what it is that we have to heal. There's going to be more of a warrior type spirit that we kind of embody in order to tackle the problems and actually resolve them. So yeah, Chiron going retrograde, just like any other planet or asteroid going retrograde, there is a little bit of wonkiness that happens when, we first watch a planet station in that state of paralysis and then choose to go into a different direction. And because we're still kind of in the adjustment phase, if you will, of Leo season, of Venus going retrograde, we're really not going to be able to tell where the wonkiness, confusion, and discombobulation is actually stemming from. But just know that there's a lot of energy shifting going on, and Chiron's retrograde is going to kind of add to that wonkiness. The moon is then going to go ahead and interact with Saturn, who is retrograde in this Pisces energy. Now, this is an observation. This is a choice point. This is a decision point where we are starting to see, again, because the moon is in Libra, where the extremes are in our lives. So maybe we're realizing where our routines are too extreme because it's not giving us enough time to have fun or address our own health and wellness, our own concerns. Maybe we're recognizing where the roles and responsibilities, the obligations and commitments that we've made are too much for us at this point. Maybe we've outgrown them. Regardless, there's some kind of illumination where something is too much. And in the efforts of realizing where it's too much, can't deal with it, don't want to experience it anymore, obviously, we're going to recognize that that needs our energy and effort to balance that out. And we do that by coming up with different alternatives, compromises, negotiations within ourselves in order to kind of balance the scales of the roles and responsibilities in our lives, of the basically old structures that we're letting go of in order to kind of create new ones. There is an overwhelming focus on what is unbalanced in order for us to really see what we have to do to balance those particular scales in our lives. The moon in Libra is going to make a positive interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings, knowing, if you will. And Jupiter in this Taurus energy, carrying us into May of 2024, is creating many opportunities for growth, for expansion, for us to boss up, for us to create a realm that looks good, that feels good, that puts us in a better situation to create a reality that is more aligned with our heart space and higher self than it is with our ego selves. So what I love about this is that, the moon in Libra, typically speaking, is light and fluffy. We want to stay in the shallow end of our emotions, of our experiences. So everything is kind of upbeat, a little bit airy, if you will. Well, the energy that comes from Jupiter, he is our hype girl. He is optimistic. He is confident. He's really pushing us into really believing in ourselves. And this is going to just be an overwhelming amount of positive energy, positive vibes, a different, more positive, optimistic outlook on what it is that we know that we have to tackle, that we might not be feeling so good about. This is just going to push us into the realm of expecting the best case situation and scenario out of our energy and out of our efforts. The moon in Libra will then semi-square, which is a little bit of a tension point, with Mercury. Mercury, of course, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Leo energy. That, of course, is the heart and soul of the zodiac. Now, because this is a semi-square, and because this is creating a tension and a conflict in order to illuminate where it is that the change is needed the most, this is between our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury. So we're obviously not on the same page here. Mostly, I would say, because the moon in Libran energy just wants everybody to be happy, wants everything to be light and fun and fluffy, wants everybody to get along, wants everybody just to have like the best time. Now, Mercury, not against those things, but really, in this Leo energy, we're not really as concerned about other people as we are about ourselves. The Leo energy is kind of about the self, about the ego, about the individual, while the Libran energy is kind of concerned about everything and everybody else other than the self. So this is likely why we're having this little bit of conflict, because part of us is more concerned about how everybody else is doing than we are about how it is that we're doing by ourselves on our own. And so we are going to have a little bit of a disruption in our thoughts and in our feels in order to kind of strike a balance, if you will, between caring about ourselves and caring about other people. The moon is then going to interact with Uranus, the great awakener, who is in this Taurus energy. And let me just say that these energies are likely going to bring on some very powerful aha moments, especially seeing as shortly thereafter, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, the lower level of our intellect, is going to square off, get into the boxing ring with Uranus, which is the highest level of our intellect. So let's talk about this for a second. Yes, the moon kind of sets us up to kind of see where it is that a change in perspective and understanding in a path and a direction needs to take place, especially emotionally. But then when Mercury gets into the boxing ring shortly thereafter with Uranus, what we're getting here is we're getting a lot of mental stimulation, or we might even be overwhelmed with stimulation. We might even get aha moments, sudden flashes of insight, new ideas being downloaded, just a jolt of energy, which of course has the potential to create, anxiety and restlessness within us. But It could also really inspire us. Now, it's going to be very hard to kind of articulate right away what's going on within us. We're going to be very scatterbrained. It's going to be very kind of hard to focus on the mundane tasks and chores that we got going on here in our physical realm because we're kind of spaced out. We're in a different dimension of thinking, if you will. And because of this, we're not communicating correctly. We're not articulating ourselves correctly. It could lead to some miscommunication, some misunderstandings. There's definitely a new perspective, new information, new something coming into the realm of our thought process. We're going to be very consumed with it. It can make us very edgy, very restless as well. And like I said, we're kind of all over the place with trying to kind of process this information from a way that makes sense within us before we can actually go ahead and share these aha moments with anyone else. The last thing that we have here today is the moon in Libran energy, making an interaction, a positive one, with Mars, the god of war, who of course is in Virgo energy. So this is a beautiful opportunity for us to be inspired, for us to be motivated. Now, the moon in Libra loves beautiful things, loves art, loves music, loves new ideas, loves anything that kind of is in that realm of just seeing, the smaller little beautiful details of life. While Mars, who just wants to take action, wants to make moves, wants to progress on this path of happiness, of passion, and desire, I'm not going to say that he's unhappy because he's not in this Virgo energy, but it's not as fast as he would prefer. The Virgo energy is an earth energy. And so it's not that we're not making moves. We're taking baby steps and baby steps count. But, Mars would prefer just to go balls to the walls and do what he can and worry about the consequences later. And in all truth, Mars, left to his own devices, would burn himself out long before we ever seen any kind of goalpost. The Virgo energy is making us very, very calculated with our energy, with the moves that we're making, with the areas of concern that we're trying to fix, solve, reorganize, restructure. So the interaction between the moon and Mars at this time is definitely focused on what we have control of, what we can take action upon to not only create balance and peace and harmony in our lives, but that will actually fix and resolve some of the problems that we're trying to really correct at this particular point in time. We are going to be making a lot more, I'm going to say, emotional progress than we are in our physical realms. But we have to get in alignment between our heart and our head before we're going to see the manifestation in our physical realms anyways. So this particular aspect is definitely going to hype us up, kind of put us in a different perspective, to be inspired, to be motivated, to push through, to address the areas of our lives that are currently out of whack, out of balance, disorganized, kind of chaotic. And of course, this is our attempt in order to create balance and fix those particular topics and themes.